involved with these foreign entanglements, and then just having a pattern of failures when it comes to these foreign endeavors. And one of them is this whole idea, this whole trip he took over July 4th in Moscow, which the optics of that are, pretty not very good. But more than that, he and 7 other Republicans went over with a lot of bluster about how they're going to put the Russians in their place. And they left not having accomplished anything, and in fact being ridiculed in the Russian press as being lapdogs. So I don't know what the real purpose. I assume there was a real purpose.
I'm trying to find out what that purpose was. I want to know what he went over there to do. And I know that there's a lot of talk about business interests. There's a lot of talk about all of that. But the truth of the matter is, these foreign ponder this, Rick, on the break. Okay, there's a corn crushing plant going to be going in on the edge of Grand Forks. People are mad about it. It involves the Chinese. Okay, Kevin Kramer's come out pretty strong about it. Said some strong word. Haven't heard from John Hoeven about it. And the people up there are like, is this good? Is this bad? But the one thing they do know is the people that are going to own it are Chinese, right? So what's our role with China? So I want to get to the weather cave, though, to Too Tall Tom first and find out what's going on. Tom? John Hoeven for that Republican spot on the ballot this fall. Representative Becker, before the break, we talked about China. And I want to say China because a text message came in and quit saying the Chinese and blaming the people for their government. We could go down that a whole nother road. But, China is going to own this facility in North Dakota. How do you sit with that in terms of how all of this new kind of ag processing is looking at? And I know I'm a co-op guy. I'm a member-owned guy. So I'm curious what your take on it is.
Well, I'm opposed to it on several fronts, and I know that John Hoeven has come out in favor of it. At least earlier in November timeframe, he was definitely in favor of the Fufang, that the Chinese-owned corn milling plant in Grand Forks. One front that I'm completely opposed to it on is the subsidies. Again, I keep saying the same thing, but actually, I think that's something where, at least what I saw in the legislature, the Democrats and the true conservatives agreed on is that we're no fans of corporate welfare. But what you've got is corporate welfare for that particular business from the state level and from the local level. $6 million in building up infrastructure for them that the people of Grand Forks City and Grand Forks County are going to pay for. You've got the state legislature building that pipeline to the tune of $50 million with a $10 million spoke specifically for the business, and then they're going to have to pay more in the 2023 legislature. So anyway, we've got this corporate welfare going out, and so that shouldn't be.
Okay.
The second thing is, I don't like the idea of a specifically a company from China coming in, because China, being a communist nation, has specific ties. If it's not technically ownership, it's like ownership. They're able to control. And the director of this particular plant, Fufang, had very strong ties with the Communist Party in China. So
Rick,
that's ill-advised.
I'm running out of time here. If people want to see your campaign, where do they go? What's the website?
It's rickbecker2022.com, rickbecker2022.com. Huge differences between me and John Hoeven.
All right. We'll visit again soon. Okay. Thank you, Representative Becker.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks, Joel.
Taking your phone calls when we come back. Economic Outlook Summit is what's going to happen. Catherine Grinberg with the Chamber joins us right now. Catherine, good to have you on News and Views. How you been?
Thanks for having me. Doing well. How are you?
Good. This Scott Beaulieu, one of the big keynote speakers, joins us as well from NDSU. Scott, good to have you on News and Views.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot, Joel.
Let's talk about it, because what the focus here is on the economy. And, of course, that's got the attention of the nation. But before we get into all the details of when to go, what to do, Catherine, with you, I wanted to take this opportunity to ask Scott what his message is going to be. What are you going to tell the people that are going to attend?
Well, I'm waiting to the last minute, actually, Joel, in terms of what exactly I'm going to say, because things are changing really fast right now. We don't know what's happening in Russia and Ukraine, and it's created tremendous uncertainty in terms of forecasting for all of us. A few things that are really quite obvious, though, is Neil Kashkari will be talking a couple of hours before me at the summit, and he's Federal Reserve President in Minneapolis. They're doing a great job. But there's reason to be quite concerned that the Fed is behind the curve when it comes to monetary policy right now. Inflation is running at 8%. I think you're hearing it out there in our business community that it's really taking a toll on attracting and retaining talent, that the average individual here locally is really hurting for that extra disposable income to buy dishwashers and washers, dryers, new cars. And that, I think, is a very real feeling that could get a lot worse thanks to Russia and Ukraine. Gas prices are up, getting close to the 2008 highs, the highest they've ever been in the history of America. And all of this is just presenting a real dark cloud when we look ahead.
So when you look at this, Scott, prior to Ukraine and what Vladimir Putin is doing there by putting more or less the world at war, prior to all of that, every business I sat down and had a conversation with, every one of them had the same problem. It wasn't interest rates. It wasn't anything like that. That wasn't their first and foremost problem. It was workers. They couldn't find the labor. They couldn't find the workers. How do we fix that, Scott?
Yeah, so the economy's been running red hot. It's especially true here, but it's a national issue as well. And a lot of that has to do with the amount of, investment we threw at it during the pandemic. The United States leads the world in terms of stimulus, and much of that was understandable and needed. We didn't know how bad the COVID-19 pandemic was going to get. We shut down the entire country, and we poured the kitchen sink into the problem, as did the Federal Reserve. So we had monetary policy, we had fiscal policy, which is Washington, D.C., all throwing a ton of stimulus at it. And this is in an environment where the labor market is running red hot already. So anyone who wanted a job could have one. And that unwind has been extremely slow and difficult. So getting people back to the office, back to work is really tough. And I think that we're going through this reset now of needing to raise rates. Congress is needing to slow down on all of the stimulus they poured in. And it's quite bumpy because, there's nothing like easy money for the stock market and for investors.
Scott, I want to take that a step further, though, because in my mind, I need to kind of wrap my thoughts around this. Number one, do we just demand as a consumer too much service and we need to get over it? Or two, is there just never going to be enough workers for the amount of service we want? In other words, are we having enough babies? Do you see where I'm going with that, Scott?
I do. I think there are some things that we could still be doing on the supply side, which is really what you're driving at, Joel. Are there things that could unleash even more people into the workforce? And this is a real concern for economists. The labor force participation, which is a key metric that we look at, it's at 45-year lows right now. It's bumped back a little bit coming out of COVID, but you have people who are just choosing not to work, and that's partially a first world problem. We're extremely prosperous. We don't really need to work. There's a pretty generous safety net that's allowing us not to work as well. So you had, during the height of the pandemic, Uber drivers who simply weren't interested in working. So I was in Phoenix, Arizona one time during just trying to get an Uber ride. It took 20 minutes for someone to come, and it was because there are no drivers, and they're just choosing not to work. They're getting stimulus. They're trading Bitcoin. One of the things that came out of stimulus that economists have looked at is where did the money go? And a lot of it went into Robinhood accounts, and this is just kind of a luxury that the young portion of the labor force is enjoying right now, and it's hurting us all.
Scott Beaulieu's our guest, ladies and gentlemen. He is the Dean of Business at North Dakota State University College of Business. I'm going to bring Catherine in on this conversation. Catherine Grinberg, it's that conversation that you and the team at the Chamber are putting together that people can take part in. Explain to people what this Midwest Economic Outlook Summit is all about.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joel. Yeah, as Scott was just talking about, all these different things in our country and our world that are happening right now, as we talked about supply and workforce shortages, the accelerating inflation rates, extreme economic certainty, all of these are the reasons that we're pulling this summit together. And wow, is the timing really perfect for what's going on, and things are changing minute by minute. So it is sure to be a timely discussion that we'll be having. It's on March 24th from 7:30 to 11 a.m., and attendees can either join in person at the Delta in Fargo, or they can join virtually if they choose as well. And we are going to have over 20 chambers that are also co-hosting this from around the Midwest. We have chambers in North Dakota, Minnesota, and South Dakota that will be joining the conversation. So really, this is truly a Midwest event, and being able to look at the economic forecast and outlook for this upcoming year at a time when we've used the word unprecedented so many times, but it continues to tell the story of where we're at economically.
Yeah, and to me, putting people in a room, we've had the luxury, Scott, really of how good can it get when it comes to our economy. I mean, is this just a check and balance in relation to how an economy works? At some point, prices were going to go up. At some point, there was going to be inflation. I mean, can you ever have an economy that never, ever sees inflation?
No, Joel, and we've had a tremendous moderation. Much of my lifetime, the expectation has been 2% inflation. I'm 40 some odd years old, and I've never really experienced inflation in my life. And, that's something that is really hard for people to wrap their minds around, how costly it can be. The fact that we're at 1982 levels of inflation here in America, and you think, how did this happen? How can this be? And there's just a lot of confounding factors that all have gone together to make it bad now. And then just this Ukraine and Russia issue raises the concern that it could be here to stay for a while.
Hang in there, you two, if you wouldn't mind. Yep. I've got it. You got more time to give me, Scott?
Yep, I'm fine.
Okay.
Yep.
And Catherine, I know you can hang up because you're Abby's friend, and she'll track you down anyway. So let's get to the weather. Let's get to the weather cave and find Too Tall Tom. Tom? Dr. Beaulieu, one of the questions came in for you, said inflation is at 17% if measured like they did when Carter was president. And they want me to ask you about that. Are we equating inflation the right way?
Really good question, quite technical. It depends on what you consume. So they've used different measures over time. Economists are always trying to get better and better at capturing what the ordinary individual consumer is. Back in previous periods, they used different baskets, thinking that different goods mattered more than other ones. And it's imperfect. It's an average measure. So if you're spending more on your rent each month than the average person, you might be feeling inflation more. If you're someone who's buying used cars, you're feeling it much more right now than the average person. So it's imperfect. I think that you talk to just about anyone in business, and they'd say it's running a lot hotter than what the official number is, and that's a real issue in that the level of inflation might be much worse than the numbers are indicating.
How much did COVID have to play with this, though? Because I'm sitting there and I'm looking at a new pickup, and I can't get my new pickup until June. And you see what I'm getting at? I don't think it stopped us from purchasing. I still see as many cars on the interstate, Doc.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So the supply chain issue definitely compounded the problem. The real issue that people are awake to now is that just the easy money was a big part of this too. When there's just so much money circulating at such a cheap rate that everyone's out buying, and in fact you're kind of bored. You're not able to travel as much. You're not able to put your money into other asset categories. Transportation and leisure is still down 30% from pre-COVID. So you have money that you would have gone on 3 vacations this winter that you've got to do something with, and that's all crowding out purchases for people.
So what about the lifestyle of people themselves? And I'm going to give you an example, Dr. Beaulieu. You're sitting there, and you now, for the first time in a long, long time, you're a 2-income family, and you're sitting there and you've worked from home or didn't get called into work, and you realize that, hey, I've got the big screen TV. I've got the 2 cars. We don't need to have both of us work anymore. Stay home. Let's start. I mean, is that ever going to come back to the place that we were before, pre-COVID, or is the workforce itself finally saying, to heck with it, I'll live my life this way?
The workforce has a lot more leverage right now than they have had in a long time. And here at the university, I think there's a culture of you need to be in the office. But I think many employees are saying, you know what, this place is offering me 3 days where I have to be in the office. Why would I take one that I have to be in for 5 days? So it's a really competitive market right now. And that's thanks to the discovery that has come from COVID that you can be efficient and productive and be working remote a lot of the time. So it's been a wonderful emancipation for many different employees, but I think different employers are just having a really tough time with that, on adapting and being competitive with wages and salaries. Those who are aware of the new trend are offering a lot of flexibility, or they're paying like crazy, which is also fueling some of this inflation.
Yeah. Well, it's conversations like this that are going to be happening at the Midwest Economic Outlook Summit. Catherine Grinberg stayed with us. Catherine, tell people what they can do if they want to be there, if they want to take part.
Absolutely. They can head to our website at fmwfchamber.com and register for either in-person or virtual to hear Dr. Scott Beaulieu and other amazing speakers. We have a few keynotes, both the North Dakota Commerce Commissioner, James Lamont, as well as the Deed Commissioner from Minnesota. Grove will be with us and sharing about the economy, sharing about the workforce like we just talked about. It'll be a great lineup of speakers. We're going to get into industry specifics, talking with a lot of different industry experts from across the Midwest on energy, agriculture, manufacturing, retail, all these different areas that are crucial to the economy. So look forward to seeing people there. Go ahead and hop on our website to register for either a table or a ticket, virtually or in person.
Okay. Thank you, too. Good to talk, Catherine. Thanks for coming on. And Dr. Scott, great to have you as well. We'll be back with some more comments.
Thanks a lot.
You bet. You want to do it now, or when do you want to do it?
We can do it now. I'm not sure.
Name 4 of the packages. What's going to be in that package when I go to Fairmont Lockers? I've received my notice that my half a hog has been processed, and it's time to go pick up my pork. So, when I get there, what will I find in my box?
Well, you'll find pork.
That was deep. I mean, what? What did they process?
Does that count as one, or are we?
No, pork is the product. It's like beef.
But it's all pork products?
Yeah, what you would say if we were talking about beef, for example. Well, bacon could be one. Yes.
Is that one of them?
No, because I didn't have them carry any bacon. But yes, it could be.
Some pork chops.
There's one.
Okay. There's 3 to go. Cool. A pork. Do you want their leg?
Well, the leg's there. You know, the old adage in hogs was the only thing you threw away was the squeal.
Yeah. What do you eat? Can I have a hint other than that it's pork?
Think about beef and think about a hog and think about the differences between the two.
Where does the pork chop come from? What part?
It's the back. It's the, da-da-da-da.
Oh, the da-da-da-da. That makes sense.
Well, I just pointed to you. You know, it's like,
So am I naming different parts? Like, if you wanted beef, I'd be naming the different types, like you want sirloin or you want.
Now we're off and running, right? You'd have like the loin, right? You ever eat a pork loin?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever
eat a pork loin? Yeah.
Do you ever eat a ham?
Yep.
And where does that come from?
The belly. The rear.
There you go.
Really?
The Budinsky. Yes.
The Budinsky.
Did you ever hear pork roast, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we're off and running.
Is that the 4?
That's 4 enough. It's getting painful, right? So you got pork chops, ham, roasts, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And what's the 4th?
Well, we said pork loin.
Oh, okay.
That's, but there's more. You could have head cheese.
Oh, nope. Nope.
How do you know until you try it?
I've seen it.
Okay.
And I know.
You could have pork hocks. Have you ever had a hock?
No, but
pickled hock?
No. I've heard of them. I haven't seen that.
Would you ever have one if you were given one?
What does it look like?
It looks like a knuckle, you know what the hock is of a pig, right?
What's the texture of it?
It's tougher. It's something
like a jerky kind of.
Right. Right. Okay. It's not like a jerky. So you get a piece of bone, and you just chew around it, and inside that, there's meat.
No.
So you wouldn't try that.
I don't think I'm willing to put in the effort.
How about the jowls, the snout? How about either of those?
Oh, no. No, because you look at it and know it's a little pig.
The snout, for example, most people don't realize anytime they eat hot dogs, they eat any of that. That's it.
Well, a hot dog is anything.
Right.
Nobody knows what's in a hot dog.
Yeah, they do. It's meat. It's.
Is it? I eat hot dogs too. I mean, I love a hot dog, but I do not know what all is in a hot dog. And I'm okay with that.
You want me to walk you through it?
People have said to watch the videos and then you'll never eat a hot dog again, but I like hot dogs. I don't know if I want to watch a video.
And I've made a lot of sausage in my day, and now I staff out. I'm lucky that I have a place down in my neck of the woods like Fairmont Lockers, but they make mine. And the other night when I got home, I was hungry, and I'm like, what should I eat? Just something simple. Sue's gone, no big meal, nothing like that, right? So I went and got a ring of deer sausage, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect.
And you didn't have to do any of the dirty work.
Didn't have to make anything else other than one piece of toast, a little bit of ketchup here and there. I was happy, man. Right?
Yeah. I think I would have made a potato with it.
You ever eat a pig's tail?
No. Have you?
Yeah. Yep. Ate it all. Grandpa and
Can't
Grandma.
imagine there's a lot there.
Nope. It's like the snout. You got to get a lot of snouts to make snout. Right? Pig feet, pig tail. We ate all of these when I was a kid. Somebody texted in. You bet. There you go.
My grandma was a pig feet fan.
Now, I got to get 2 things off my chest. right?
Unrelated to pigs?
Unrelated to hogs. And if I don't say these things, I'm going to be mad at myself. And I got some calls from people. And I have been and will continue to be huge fans with the North Dakota High School Activities Association. They do a job that few people could do, and they do it in a very, very good way. But they need to take a look at whatever policy they have when it comes to how they broadcast their TV rights. And I'm just going to say this. In 2022, we should be sitting here and we shouldn't even be having a debate over boys and girls, right? We shouldn't be sitting here telling the parents and the families of girl basketball players that, no, your game isn't important enough to us to get broadcast, but the boys in that same round of the tournament is. It's not right. That's not right. And that's exactly what WDAY did. Now, they're going to say, no, we broadcast it. And we put it out there. Well, sure you did, but you had to pay to get that one. If you wanted to watch your daughter or your granddaughter play, you had to pay $25 just to watch it. With the boys, it was free. So either your sales team over at WDAY isn't doing a good job, or you're sitting there saying girls don't matter. And that's wrong. That's wrong. And it goes back to the North Dakota High School Activities Association. If you look at what happens down at SDSU, what you see down at SDSU is, or at South Dakota, is a situation where they're all on. And I think that's done, and I'm not positive about this, but I believe that that's done through required by the South Dakota High School Activities. So what happened here in this circumstance, to me, shed a lot of light on it. And if you're the parents of that girls' basketball team and you didn't get to see your basketball team play on TV, you're the aunt, you're the uncle, you're whoever, that isn't fair to you. And to sit there and say, well, you could have, you just had to open up your wallet and pay $25 when the grandparents of the boys didn't have to do that, it's wrong. And so this has been going on since DAY took over on the TV side. And I think that it needs to get fixed. I think it really needs to be fixed. Now, somebody texted in and said, Joel, it's been going on for 3 damn years. Well, you know, I wish I would have known more about it sooner, but I'm diving in when I can. And somebody said, Joel, the tournament coverage this year was bad, and it always has been. I'm not commenting on the person calling the games. I don't know the individuals that call the games well enough, and I certainly don't watch enough to criticize. I'm sure those broadcasters would criticize my show. What I'm talking about is this philosophy rather than responsibility. It's like, okay, we own it. We can make money on it because we have the rights to it. We can do whatever we desire to do, because if I can't make money, I don't have to carry that or do it, offer it. And so it's all about the buck. Well, that isn't what high school activities is supposed to be about. If it was all about sponsorship and money, there are a whole lot of things that wouldn't get attention from the North Dakota High School Activities Association. People, they have no idea how many events they sanction. They're active in a lot of things, speech, music. You can go to a lot of different events that the high school activities are involved in. We just know of the high-profile ones. But you cannot convince me that the North Dakota High School Activities couldn't put it into a contract that whoever bids on that contract knows what the responsibility of that contract is, and they say to them, listen, if you're going to win this, you're going to broadcast all of it, or you're going to broadcast none of it. You're not going to hit up the parents of the girls $25 and the parents of the boys don't have to pay. That's not going to be the policy of the North Dakota High School Activities Association. We're not going to sit back and watch the broadcaster do this. We're not going to sit back and let the broadcaster go, well, you know, nobody wanted to sponsor the girls. Nobody wanted to pay for the girls, but they'd pay for the boys, so that's where we could make our money. And so, well, we broadcast the girls. You just had to pay. That isn't right. That isn't right. And that needs to get fixed. Now, I don't know when the contract's up, but I will tell you this. For DAY TV to take that attitude It's wrong. Fix it. And I know you've been getting a lot of criticism this year. You deserve a lot of criticism this year, okay? For the high school activities who have put DAY in a position where they don't have to do that. You're wrong. And you cannot run around that building saying, well, Heitkamp's picking on activity. I've been a big supporter of North Dakota High School Activities Association. I was an employee of theirs before. But what happened was wrong. And the way this broadcast contract is out is wrong. Now, one other thing, and I'm not going to be happy driving home, and I know this is just relevant probably to me, but the airline industries rob you. They rob you, they rob you, they rob you, Abby.
I know, you've been telling me
you
about it.
You got to change a little bit of a flight, and the next thing you know, you're opening up your checkbook for $1,000. That's not right. I mean, it's like, okay, I got to get from here to there, but I'm changing my flight. And you can't, the guy on the curb that you give the baggage to, right? No, can't talk to him. So the lady at the ticketing, no, can't. And it isn't fair to these guys don't set the policy. They just administer it. And the poor person, the man or the woman at the gate who says, and we're now loading main cabin 1 or whatever, you can't get mad at them. And you sure can't get mad at the flight attendant, and you can't get mad at the pilot. So the question is, who the heck do you get a chance to get mad at? And it's the CEO that's making millions upon millions of dollars, his board, and the top execs that he have. They're the ones that are screwing you, and they are. Trust me. The airline industry, lost in all of this is the fact that the average Joe public pays tax dollars into the facilities that they use to make their money. See what I'm getting at? I mean, you put money into the local airport, and then the plane gets to land there, and the plane gets to pull up to there, and but we put money into this product, and then when you need the product, they find a way to pooch you. Now, I had radio gear with me, so I had to ship some bags home, and if the lady wouldn't have been nice enough to allow me to take, I had my briefcase, I had my little one bagger, that fits in the overhead compartment. And then I had my CPAP machine, which is a separate deal. So now I'm up to 3, right? If I would have had to put one of those 3 in with the other 2 bags I had when I was coming home from Florida, it was an additional $150 with Delta. Now, I'm sorry, but I still remember the movie Deliverance, and I started feeling a lot like that. It's not right. There's my 2. It's not. I know you're pointing at Tom Szymanski because I'm getting ornery, but all right, let's get to Too Tall Tom and find out what's going on. Somebody said, has anybody brought up Title IX on this? Where I would go, for you board members at high school activities, when you write your contract, fix it. Fix it. There are no parents shouldn't be treated differently. If there's a product available, Class A, Class B, boys, girls, it should be equal. If you're going to broadcast the quarterfinals of the state Class A boys, you should broadcast the quarterfinals of the state Class A girls, and the girls shouldn't have to pay and the boys do. Period. I mean, that's where we should be in society today. Let's get to Greg. Greg, you're on News and Views.
Article in the Grand Forks Herald paper this morning. Hotel rooms in Grand Forks this weekend that normally sell for $50 are going for $600.
You're kidding me.
Oh, there's a concert there this weekend.
Who is this? The Hank concert?
Nope, it's Morgan Wallen. It's a big country name.
Okay, and a big hockey.
But still ridiculous.
Yep, Colorado colleges.
It doesn't matter what's going on in Grand Forks. I will never buy another hotel room in Grand Forks ever.
I'm glad you brought it up, because if that's going on, it needs to get brought up, Greg. Appreciate it. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't see the article. I'm normally pretty good at checking all that. People are pooching us out there.
I can't believe students don't get a discount for the tournaments.
Well,
students don't have any money.
I mean, imagine being
There's a lot wrong with that.
Take a look at your grandma.
Not just students.
Right? Your grandma's not going to get in a car and go to Minot or Bismarck to the game anymore, right?
And not that I would have gotten in the tournaments.
And she shouldn't have to pay $25 to watch the Wapton girls play ball, but the Wapton boys she could have watched for free. That's wrong.
And it was the week of International Women's Day.
That's right. Good riding with you, folks.